Welcome back to the Hats We Wear. Today I have Liz Holland with me. She's going to talk about the hats she wears, the joys and struggles of those hats, and how she's overcome them. Thanks for joining me, Liz.
Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So tell me what hat you're wearing right now.
Basically all the hats in my company. It's me alone doing everything other than, passing off a task or a
Mhm.
series of tasks to, somebody to handle that, but no employees, just me. I was saying it's kind of funny. I have a whole wall of hats behind me. My company was born out of a diagnosis. I got diagnosed about 9 years ago with sensory processing disorder. And while I knew my senses were super sensitive and that light in my eyes or smells or this or that, so many things triggered me. Everybody told me, what's your problem? Get over it. What's your problem? And, so I was kind of secretly trying to come up with ways to live in this body, but not really tell people about it because the response in my childhood, in all the trauma through my life, which has been a lot, is just like mean to it. So I was like kind of quietly doing it. Then I got the diagnosis and found out it's real, that there's a real thing happening in my body. There's many real things. And the best way we can figure out how to live in our bodies, people like me, is every person is so unique. They
Mhm.
have somebody that has smell triggers might be fine. If I have a friend, I'm fine with that smell. They cannot stand it.
Right.
So we all have our very specific triggers, and then what the triggers do to us. Shut our nervous system down. For me, it increases or my headaches. I've been living my whole life with headaches every day. And so, like, the best thing we can do is to really understand our individual triggers and the results and try and cut them off before they happen. So
Right.
that's why I have a wall of hats, because I finally surrendered, even if it's not sunny and I don't think I need one. The weather can change and sun can come out. And then I'm like, crap, where's my hat? And that's just like the simple fix.
Mhm.
And like I always say, if you don't experience the trigger in the first place, you don't have to recover from it. But we all are going to experience, we can't cut them all off. So then you have to have tools to recover from it.
Right.
And so many times in running this business by myself and doing so many jobs, I'm like, figuratively, kind of like, can you wear one of these hats? Can I give you a hat?
Yeah.
Can I give you a hat? Because it's just a lot to do it all. And I finally have surrendered that things I'm not good at. Let's stop trying to do those, Liz. Find people that are good
Mm.
at that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and though I can do marketing and sales and distribution and manufacturing, I know a lot about all these things. I won 6 international industrial design awards with my working with Prince Tennis and designing a whole line of rackets that were truly innovative. Hard to do in the tennis industry, rackets. So that was really exciting. So I have a lot of experience working with the factories, I did bags too. So I knew how to work with things that they were sewing as well as,
Mhm.
the tennis rackets were made in factories that made hospital equipment and airplane parts because it was carbon fiber. And so that was really cool my dad was an inventor. I love seeing how things work. And
Mhm.
but there's also, like, when I went to China for the rackets, every single person I worked with was a man. And when I did it for the bags, it was all women, which is very interesting. But getting the men, especially in China, I came up with a thing that saved 17 steps of production, and they were persnickety steps. They not only saved the step altogether, but they didn't have to go back in and like clean up areas and I told them how to do it, and they said, no, it can't be done. Yes, it can. Do it. No, it can't be done. And I'm like, just try. It doesn't have to be perfect. Just try. And they were like, oh wow, this really works. But, as a woman, you also get that as an entrepreneur
Mm-hmm.
and certainly in different cultures, but even in our own culture, there's that kind of like, no, I am the boss. and
Yeah.
and I need you to fully listen to me, even though I've said it in all of these ways to try and get it across. There's watching for when they turn off their brain. And fortunately, I'm pretty good at noticing when people tune out
Yeah.
and putting the brakes on and trying to, navigate that back to getting their attention. And so my product here, if people are watching, my first product line, we call it the Cozies line. And this is the Cozy Throwsies. And it's a throw, but it has fan pockets with
Mm-hmm.
finger and thumb openings. So you can read your book or hold
Oh, I
things,
love that.
keep your hand warm, And then it's got a great book pocket that flares around your ankles. And, when you wrap up in this thing, beyond being warm, it
Uh-huh.
just settles your nervous system.
Yeah, it's like a
I
hug. Mm.
Yeah, it's like a swaddle.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you also, like, I have issues about being trapped.
Mm.
So the swaddle, like actually swaddle would really, really bother me. And,
Mm-hmm.
if I have a hot flash,
Yeah.
you're like, "Ooh, don't
Yeah,
you,
exactly.
don't you,"
Throw that throw off.
right. And then also my range of comfort temperature wise is really narrow. So if I go too hot, which I can get really warm in this really fast, but if my
Mhm.
feet start to get like over the line, they start to burn and I have to pull them out and,
Mhm.
hand too. And this was a nice discovery that, like, if you want your hands, but you want to keep it on your shoulders, the little bit of weight here keeps
Mhm.
it on the shoulders without, comfortably.
That's a great
So that
invention.
nuance of in and
Mhm.
out is really good for those of us that have narrow comfort, as well as, when you discover that kind of, like, I love the sensory settling my nervous system, but I'm not
Yeah.
that old right now.
Mhm.
So, all of the slight adjustments to make it just like perfect for you. And
So
then we have a kids. Go
to
ahead.
back up for 1 second, so what is your company? Like what, because you talked about having a company born out of this sensory processing disorder, but what is your company and what do you actually
What
sell?
do we do?
Yeah.
Well, the company is called Sensory Product Design. So it's kind of SPD, sensory processing disorder. And so I named it that as a nod to SPD, the sensory processing disorder.
Okay.
So sensory product design. And we design and make things that soothe the senses. The first out of the gate is this cozy line. There will be in the spring a cozy gozy, which is waterproof on one side. I actually have a prototype right here. Usually don't have it in hand, but I was showing it earlier.
Oh,
Waterproof on one side, has handles, nice and warm. You got the pockets, and the foot pocket has a zipper at the bottom. So if you're in a situation where it's pouring rain, it has a hood too. You can be dry head to toe, and you can actually even put your feet through the pocket if you have sneakers on or something,
mhm.
and keep it around your ankles, and get you head to toe. It ends up being the perfect picnic blanket because it's a rectangle
Mhm.
and it's waterproof on one side. So you don't have the situation where you think the grass is dry enough, and then about 15 minutes later, you're going,
Your
no,
butt is
it
soaked. Yeah.
wasn't. So you're
Exactly.
always going to be warm and dry. You have the pockets for stowing things when it's being a picnic blanket. And then we'll have a cozy toesies coming. But the fact of the matter is, I've been designing and making things for myself all my life,
That's great.
prototypes. And that to this day, I make probably about 3 or 4 a month, or I take things and I alter them, and that'll work better. The kind of the gift behind the diagnosis is because I'm so picky about I notice the details that bother me
Mhm.
and picky about it, and I want to solve it. And so it made me a better designer, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Um,
sounds like you've got that brain to invent. That's amazing.
right. Well, my dad was an inventor as well.
Mhm.
So around the dinner table every night was, what did dad do today? And
Yeah.
from he was an engineer, so lots of
Okay.
nitty gritty, taking things apart and he was the forefather of the automatic warehousing systems industry back in the day. He died when I was 20. So, back when Encyclopedia Britannica was the resource, he was
Yes, I remember.
forefather.
Yep.
He actually was the guy that brought ice cream into, shoot, I meant to, somebody's trying to call me. That brought ice cream into stores, because it used to be that you could only get ice cream at an ice cream parlor because it couldn't get the texture to be right.
Mhm.
And so he's the guy that created a flash freezing system that went through like a tunnel. And because our name is Holland, they nicknamed it the Holland Tunnel. Which, so that was really cool to be exposed to that. I seem to be I was one of 4 children, and
Mhm.
but the youngest, and I was the only one that kind of followed in his footsteps, studying industrial design. He actually went through a racket phase too, where he was designing rackets and strings, and I would travel with them to tennis industry shows and demo what he did. Come home
Yeah.
from school, it's like, what's that smell? Oh, Dad's cooking a tennis racket in the oven. Like,
Yeah, because
okay.
it sounds like you were kind of, and this is really interesting to me, is you talked about designing tennis rackets and bags. So it's like you weren't just stuck in like one area. It sounds like,
Mhm.
was that true? Like you would just
I
think of
just jump
something
in.
and just do it?
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, even I jump into the marketing department, because like a product to succeed has to first be a great idea. Then you have to execute that idea and turn it into something that is really great. And what's great about it? So that gets into marketing. What are we communicating what this does, so that people get it?
Yeah.
You got to make them, and you got to distribute them, and what happens to them when people are done with them? Are they trash? Are they recycled? Or
Yeah.
so I always see the whole process, and if they're missing it at a stage, I'm like, hello, come on, help. And it's actually been, certainly a blessing, but it's been a curse too, as getting older and working in the design industry, where people want you to fit into a box. They don't want you to do things outside of what you are
Yeah, your
supposed
lane,
to
keep
do.
your own lane. Yeah, these are very
Right,
different.
right.
Bags, tennis rackets, and sensory things are completely different. At least to me, they are. Maybe to you,
Yeah,
it makes complete sense. Maybe they do tie
makes
in.
complete sense. It's just
Yeah,
problem solving. It's
yeah,
just like, how do you do it? And for me, and for my whole life, just making things that make me feel better, that make
yeah,
me be able to live in this body. And there's so many issues in this body that it's endless.
yeah,
The
yeah.
Oh no, well, I'm lying down and my ear's burning, and so what do I do? And I found that product, and I make it into this. Usually about the third prototype of the idea that I have is the one that works. I have to accept. I
Amazing.
just have to dive in and start making it, and then learn the things that I didn't anticipate, and then
Yeah,
but
that's
that's what I do.
amazing. I mean, you're really helping so many people in the long run. I mean, you're doing it
Mhm.
for yourself, but you know that it's going to help a lot of other people who are in the same boat.
Right. And especially adults. When I first was diagnosed, I couldn't find anything for adults with SPD. You'd occasionally run across an article where they mention adults. They're talking about children. They go, well, it's rare in adults. And if they do have it, they must have come up with solutions. And it's like, no, we haven't. I mean, I had, but I hadn't, because everybody was telling me I was so wrong and bad for having a problem, having an issue, taking one whiff of a smell and go, oh my God, my headache is so bad,
Mm,
and having people acknowledge that, it was real for me.
yeah.
Part of that was kind of working through trauma more so than anything else, because I grew up with a lot of trauma, a lot of, like, you never should have been born type stuff. Like
Mhm.
if abortion was legal, we definitely would have aborted you. It's like,
Oh,
oh
wow.
boy,
Yeah,
thank
that's a
you.
lot. It's heavy for a kid to carry. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, of course I mirrored those relationships and and I had a couple marriages and more, but each one I really tried to graduate from the trauma. So the first one was like drugs and alcohol, and left that, quit everything, moved my life. Then the next one was physical abuse. It's like, no way, no how. I'm out of here. Next
Mhm.
one was emotional abuse, which was so insidious. And so like, that was the hardest one. You're like, think it's you,
Mhm.
and take it all in. And so, but I really graduated from all of that. And I now I'm in this lovely life with the most amazing human being I've ever met, who, believes in me, adores me, and thanks me probably about 15 or 20 times a day for things
Oh.
sometimes that he does. Like, you did that one, I didn't. And it's just like, oh God, I get to live this life now and, help and when I started it, help people like me who are discovering that that's me too. Oh my God, I think that's me. And
Mhm.
it's like, well, I put on my website, we kind of found the best of everything we could that was, medical for adults, and gathered it on, there's a learn about SPD or what is SPD tab on my website. So that's for people with SPD. But I really intentionally wanted to start with the widest audience I could think of, and staying warm. The Snuggie, we remember the Snuggie. It's
I
like
do.
wearing a
Yeah.
robe backwards. And they've sold $500 million worth of product. And it doesn't work. It was like, why? Your shoulders aren't covered. Just get a robe if you're still not going to get your hands and feet. And then the Comfy that was on Shark Tank, in 4 years, they top 5 products. It was a big sweatshirt that you're supposed to put your knees in. It was like, who can do that for any length of time? $250 million. But what these tell me is people are desperate to
Yeah.
find a product that works.
And what I
And
like about
nobody has
yours,
ever done the hand pockets and the feet pocket.
exactly. That's what I like about yours, is that you can
Mhm.
still be holding a book and turn the
Yeah,
pages, and you
you
don't
can
have to
just
put
pick
your
up
arm
anything.
out and get cold.
Mhm.
So I
Yep.
love it. That hooked me immediately seeing that, because I'm one that likes to be on my tablet or read or whatever.
Right. And how many
And
times have your hands just been freezing cold and you're
Mhm.
trying to maybe even
And your
wrap things
arm.
around
Yep.
them? And you're like trying to, it's just really, I'm blown away, because we did, extensive product searches on, the USPTO, the Patent and
Huh?
Trademark Offices.
Yep.
And there just never has been anything like this. And I did it first out of that, how much those other designs piss me off. It's like,
Yeah.
people are buying that. It
Yeah.
doesn't, like, what does it actually do for you? And so, but I also wanted all people to kind of relate to SPD by
Mhm.
thinking, how hard is it to settle your nervous system if you're freezing cold? It's just really hard to do.
Yeah.
But I really invite all people to also check into their nervous system. Like, have a bad day, have experiences that have amped you a little bit, then wrap yourself up and notice the difference.
Yeah.
And, for me, I've had such stressful days that I thought, oh no, it's not going to help me today. And then I wrap myself up and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought my stress was way too big for it today. And, so it kind of surprises me and delights me, even though I've done it hundreds of times more than anybody on the planet. But it's, to then imagine, what if it was that much, if your whole nervous system was shut down because you were too cold or too hot, or, the
Right.
sensory stuff was going on. It might, for people that don't have sensory issues, it might make them feel more compassion to their loved one that has
Right.
things.
Right.
But if we all can just kind of settle our nervous system down, with this wackadoodle world we're living in these days, that everything is just gets exponentially worse. It blows me away.
Yeah.
And how much it keeps on piling on. And, we feel that. We can't help but feel all
Yeah.
of that. The big world stuff and the smaller stuff. It affects us. Our
Mhm.
nervous systems get triggered when we experience an asshole or road rage, or,
Right.
somebody. There's so many things that trigger all of us. And wouldn't it be great if we had something to come to help settle down?
Comfort.
And while you
Yeah.
are settled, you can go, what are the other things that trigger me? Like, she's my other best tool. I don't know if she's on camera, my puppy dog here.
Yeah, I can see you. Yep.
And she helps me so much. And she's my
Mhm.
first service dog of dogs, but all dogs are service dogs, I think.
Mhm.
But like, what does that feel like when I kind of turn to her for her unconditional love?
Mhm.
How's that affecting me? And it's obviously affecting her in a really good way too. So that's really
Mhm.
great. And,
Yeah.
and we just can kind of like settle in and breathe, and for a moment before we let all the stuff compound us again. I have a philosophy for overall, I call it the 51% philosophy. And I was at the darkest time of my life. I was having trouble keeping the lights on. It was before I was diagnosed with SPD. I was getting so triggered that I was knocked down for months. And, it was just scary and hard. And this time, my younger daughter came to me and she's like, Mom, when are things going to get better? And I'm like, I don't know, but I know they will.
Mm.
Now they will. And we will get there, and we fiercely love each other through every step of this. And we'll have that when we get through this long, dark tunnel that we're in.
Mhm.
And I'm like, at least none of us have cancer. None of us have been shot. We don't live in a war zone.
Yeah.
There are big, big, big
Yes.
things
There
out
are
there that,
positives. Yes. Mhm.
right.
Yeah.
And so, like 2 weeks later, my older daughter gets diagnosed with cancer.
Oh my
Two,
gosh.
and it was just like, no, you don't. Why?
Oh my
But
God.
back to the 51% philosophy, that's an intense negative that I can't turn into a positive. I have to deal with it, and I have to be the best person I can be for her, best mom I can be for her.
Uh-huh.
So, like, that's big and real. And in my mind, I had this: we all need at least 51% positive to 49% negative in a kind of overall sense of life.
Yep.
And if we keep on getting pulled down, we're just drowning the negative. So how do you get more positive? How do you get less negative? Well, start with the negative. It was like, I don't have to deal with that person or that situation. I can kind of separate myself. Not necessarily, I say don't shove hard because they come back meaner. It's more of I'm going to devote less of me
Mhm.
to my time, my energy, my attention, my love. I'm
Yep.
just going to limit how much I let them have.
Yep.
And then on the good side, you don't even have to change too much of your content of your day. But when you have those yummy, wonderful experiences, take 5 seconds and go, yes, that's the stuff. Yay, I want more of that. And
Mhm.
then when you get good at that, you can give yourself 10 seconds sometimes, but you also show yourself what you're looking for to increase the value, the love, the connection, the authenticity of your life.
Yeah.
Because you're like, yeah, that's the stuff. Or you get goosebumps and you're like, yeah, you can't fake goosebumps.
And
And the nervous
it
system.
gives you something to anchor to when you have the
Right.
times that are hard. You can remember the times that were good and how it felt in your body. Like, yes, all right, I can
Yeah.
get back there. This is
Yeah.
temporary. I can get
Or
back.
take this moment, like there's a smell for people that are like us that have super smellers, and there's a smell right between their eyes, above their forehead, that I've always noticed in all of my dogs and other people's dogs too. That is just like, it smells so good. And I think it
Yeah.
has something to do with their glands being there. You know how a cat rubs up against you. Some
Yeah.
cats do, but they're less tolerant. And one day I said to my daughter, who loved the smell too, I finally figured out what it smells like. And she goes, what? And I go, sunshine. And
Oh.
she goes, Mom, you can't smell sunshine. I'm like, check it out. She smelled it and she's like, does that smell like sunshine? So then we started calling it puppy crack. Like,
Oh,
just dive in her nose and then, ooh, and she'd
yeah.
like present, she'll climb up on me and then present her forehead to me because I kind of like rub. I think it feels like she likes the massage that
Yeah. Yeah.
that our foreheads or whatever touch.
Yeah. Yeah. She enjoys
But
it
it's just
too.
like soaking it up. It's
Hmm.
telling, it's making a specific effort to do something that is going to make you feel better, at least a little
Right.
bit better. And
Right.
then when you're in a place of a little bit better, then you can you can function better.
Mhm.
I have to work around this crazy, difficult body all the time, every day to function. If I don't catch things early and not let them domino, if I'm like, oh, it's fine, I should be able to deal with this. I tell the story lately. I had a necklace on, just a little gold chain, and the hook was bugging me. And I'm sitting there going, ish, ish. And then I was like, wait, you have too many other things in your body, in stresses that you're going through to go through that. Take the damn necklace off. You don't need to wear that necklace, and it was, I got stuck in the old patterning of, I should be able to get over this. This is just tiny. To wait, I can stop this tiny one because who knows what's on its heels. And once you're triggered by something, your other senses become like, what, and they're much more likely to get triggered by smaller things. And
Right.
so if I let the domino happen, it can knock me out for 24 hours, where
Mm.
I can't function and I need to function. So I've gotten very good at the skill set of noticing the little things and stopping them and taking care of myself
Hmm.
when I need to, when I do
Hmm.
need to stop, function, and lie down or hang out or, do something yummy for my soul.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is one of I call it my whack-a-ball therapy. It's mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, hits all my buttons. And it's joyful if you let it be,
Hmm.
if you hit that shot down the line and you're like, yes, exactly. My partner's high-fiving me. But I play with people sometimes, they hit the same shot, it's a great shot, and they're like, finally. And I'm like, you sound mad at that beautiful shot. Why are you mad at it? Like, get mad at when you double fault. I'll let you have that, but I'm not going to let you have finally. And it was like, I present to you a challenge. Say yay, or
Be
it's
proud of
just a
yourself
word.
because you did it. You did it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's like, and remember the middle of the points, because like we'll have these amazing points, 20 shot rallies, people diving for balls. I don't really care who won that last hit.
Hmm.
I'm like, yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff
Yeah.
you really want. I'd probably be a better competitor if I cared more about winning. I'm more
No, you want to have fun. That's the
want to have
joy of it.
fun.
You want to have fun. Yeah.
I
So,
especially for something like tennis where you are out there to have fun. I mean, to balance out the rest of things. If so I just don't invite assholes anymore. I
I
have the
love it.
very
There
best
you go.
people.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're out there for. If you're out there to get
Right.
exercise, to enjoy the weather, to have fun, then you're going to take it that way. If you're out there to make money, if you're
It's like,
if you're a
are
professional, you're
any of
going to
us
work.
making
Yeah,
money? No.
you'll look
But
at it
yeah,
different if you're
so
a
it's
pro.
like, it's a good way to, it's again a great measurement for
Mhm.
the value that this activity offers me.
Yeah.
And and like the nervous system doesn't lie. If you pay attention to your nervous system, then you
Hmm.
have some really good information as to how to navigate your life.
Yeah.
And that's why I like
Yeah.
the 51%, because you're like, if you It's not like my kids are great all the time, it's definitely a whole ratio, and there's times where it's really frustrating. Even though I have an immense love for them, and I love who they've become as adults, and
Mhm.
we're very close, but it's not like it's positive all the time.
Yeah, we're human beings.
But yeah, yeah. So we balance it out and we make choices. Oh, yeah, lots and lots of choices every day anyway. So why don't we kind of put a little extra attention to cause and effect,
That's
on
good.
many different levels.
That's a really good, important point and we have a choice. If we can choose to think negative, we can choose to think positive.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And we can choose to, navigate towards the negative, navigate towards the people, places, things that fill us up, and the
Yes.
ones that are out there trying to take from us,
Hmm.
like we can say no, especially as women. Again, we can have a boundary, and we can have, limitations, and, eventually they kind of fall off when you limit yourself and you don't buy into it. They eventually go away. And like
Hmm.
when you're through that long dark tunnel and you've gotten good at this,
Yeah.
then, living life at 80%, because why would I invite back in the negative that I got so good at limiting, so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Are there any hats that you want to put on that you want to try? Like, oh, I kind of wonder what it would be like to do this, or are you pretty good the way you are?
Um, yeah, more wanting to give away some because there's, my biggest dream right now is just to have a full-time person working with me that I could just
Hmm.
help share the load.
Yeah.
And yeah, so if you're listeners, I want somebody who's sharp, that can contain a lot of information, that is, can wants to learn. They don't have to know a lot of stuff, but they have to be in a place that they love to learn, and that
Hmm.
in that learning they end up, containing more, or having ideas, or, really some great autonomy with that. And it's something that would be like, if I had this job, the
Hmm.
person I have in mind, if I had an opportunity to interview for a job like that, I would have been so excited, because it's like, yay, I get to use all my skills. We get to think beyond what we already know. We get to brainstorm. Will this work better? Does that work better? What do we need to bring in to make this work great? And
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I have it to some degree with the contractors that I work with, but
Hmm.
so I've worked with people that made big promises that were, super disappointing.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, no more
So
hat.
where, yeah, no more hats, please. So remind me again what the name of the blanket is, because I want to write it down and so I can put it in the show notes. And then also how people can find you if you have a website or anything like that.
Yes, yes. The website's pretty easy. Cozy, ZZZ.
Is it
So the
C-O?
cozy,
T
COZY,
C-O-Z-Y?
ZZZ.com.
Okay. And
And
that's what
then
that
so
thing is
this
called?
one, we pronounce the Z's, the ZZZ. It's like the emoji ZZZ. So we pronounce it Z's. So this is the cozy throw Z's. And then the child size version, which we didn't even talk about, but we have a small one for kids. They haven't been swaddled in a while either. So that one's called the cozy cozies. So
Nice.
COZY, And this one's cozy throw ZZZ. And then we'll have the cozy cozy and the cozy tozy. Boy, when I rattle them off, boy, they cozy tozies. I've had people, I want to call it the cozy wozies. I'm like, cool.
So are they available for sale now?
Oh yes, yes, we
Okay.
have
Yeah, perfect.
plenty in the US. They can get it within days. And right
Okay.
now we've got a 25% off site-wide discount, and free shipping over $100.
Perfect. All right. I'll make sure I put that in the show notes so that people can just click on the link and go right to it.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for
That's,
joining me. This has been a great conversation with you.
I appreciate it so much with you, Beth.
Okay. And to the listener, thanks for joining, and I'll catch you next time on the Hats We Wear.